Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we're digging into something really fascinating, a blueprint for how any organization, and I mean any, can totally transform itself. How do you stop just doing business and start truly innovating? We're going to explore this really structured, human-centered approach called the SNS Roadmap.
So let's just jump right in. Pretty much every organization falls into one of two camps. Over here, you've got what we can call the chaotic business, kind of stuck in its old ways, where new ideas just don't really happen. And over here, you have the excellent business, which is absolutely thriving because it's built around people and innovation. The real challenge, the big question, is how do you get from one side to the other?
And yeah, that's the core question, right? How do you build a bridge, step by step, from that feeling of being stuck to a place of real, genuine innovation? Well, let's take a look at the framework that's designed to do exactly that. Now, the answer isn't what you might think. It's not about some new top-down rule or a bunch of expensive software. It's actually a fundamental shift in how you see things. It's a human-centered answer, a method that puts people, real people, right at the heart of how you solve problems.
And that methodology is called design thinking. So what is it? Well, look at that last part, with human needs as a starting point. That's the secret sauce right there. Innovation doesn't start with what can our technology do, it starts with what do people actually need. It's a total game changer.
This just says it all, doesn't it? It perfectly captures the whole spirit of design thinking. This is not some dusty theory you read in a textbook. It's something you do. It's active. It's hands-on. You have to get out there, observe, engage. You have to really experience the problem for yourself.
Okay, so if design thinking is the core philosophy, how do you actually make it happen across a whole organization? Well, that's where this SNS roadmap comes into play. Think of it as the practical, step-by-step guide for building that entrepreneurial mindset right into the DNA of the company.
In the vision, it's so clear and direct, I love it. The goal isn't just to cross your fingers and hope for an entrepreneurial mindset to show up. No, the goal is to build one on purpose, using this design thinking framework as your toolkit. It gives everyone a clear direction, a North Star to follow.
Now, this vision doesn't just float around in the air. It's held up by 5 really solid pillars. And look at how they cover all the bases here. It's about learning and teaching this stuff. It's about developing your career, creating a dedicated space for creativity, partnering with industry, and even giving back. It's a whole system approach.
Supporting all of that is what's called the 3P culture. The first P is purpose. This is your why. It's the huge difference between saying our goal is to increase sales by 10% and our goal is to make life easier for our customers. That clear purpose is what gets everyone pulling in the same direction.
The second P is process. Okay, so if purpose is your destination, process is the car that's actually going to get you there. It means having a clear, structured way of doing things, like gathering user feedback, for example, instead of just relying on luck. It turns those big, ambitious goals into steps you can actually take.
And the final P, and you could argue it's the most important, is people. I mean, let's be real. You can have the best purpose in the smoothest processes in the world, but without empowered people to bring that vision to life, it's all just talk. This is about trusting your team to lead, to create, to innovate. They're the real engine. So what kind of competencies are we trying to build in these people? This 3C Competency Circle breaks it down beautifully. It's all about balance. See, being good at the technical stuff is just one piece of the puzzle. You have to match that with the right attitude, things like curiosity, taking ownership, and sharp business skills. It's that blend that creates true innovators. All right, so we've got the vision, we've got the culture. Now let's pop the hood and look at the engine itself. How does this design thinking process actually work day to day? Let's get into the nitty-gritty.
It all boils down to this 5-step cycle. First, you empathize. You really truly understand your user's world. That allows you to clearly define the actual problem that needs solving. Then you ideate. You come up with tons of creative solutions. You build a quick, simple prototype of the best one, and finally, you test it with real users to see what works. And here's the key. It's a loop. What you learn from testing feeds right back into your understanding, and the cycle begins again.
Let's just zoom in on that first step, empathize, for a second. This quote is so important. You don't get real empathy by asking people, what new feature do you want? You get it by sitting down and encouraging them to tell you stories about their day, their frustrations, their hopes. That's where the real insights are hiding. Okay, now let's jump over to the ideate phase. This is the fun part, where you're generating a ton of ideas. And it's not just a free-for-all. There are actual techniques you can use, like classic brainstorming, or mind mapping, or even methods like Scamper. They're all just tools designed to push your thinking past the obvious, first-level ideas.
And what about prototyping? This is such a critical point. The goal here isn't to build a perfect, polished product. Not yet. The goal is to build a tangible experience, something a user can touch and feel and react to. It's about learning as much as you can, as quickly as you can, before you spend a lot of time and money.
So, when you put all of this together, the culture, the process, the people, the cycle, what does it all add up to? What does the future actually look like? Well, let's look at the real-world impact this whole roadmap is designed to have. And honestly, the scale here is, wow.
First up, an absolutely massive goal: 1,000 startups. This tells you right away, this isn't just about making one company better. It's about creating a whole ecosystem of new businesses, all born from this innovative mindset.
And from that ecosystem of 1,000 new ideas, you get the next target: 1,000 patents. This is a hard number that measures pure innovation, creating ideas that are so new and so unique they're actually protectable.
And finally, this is really cool, that innovation doesn't just stay locked up inside the company. The goal is 1,000 Scopus Index journals. This shows a deep commitment not just to creating knowledge, but to sharing it with the world. It's about building a real legacy.
And this quote, this just brings it all home, doesn't it? After all the talk about frameworks and processes and big numbers, this roadmap is really an answer to this much deeper, much more human question from Martin Luther King Jr. It reframes the whole idea of innovation. It's not just about business, it's about service. So it's a great question to end on. What are you doing for others?